In our last lesson, we talked at great length on the caste discrimination that was entrenched in the Indian society earlier on. We also learnt about some of the social reformers and their own reform associations that sought to end caste discriminations in the society and bring about equality of all the masses. Movement for caste reform gained further momentum in the 20th century under very able and educated Dalit leaders. So, low caste leaders like B.R. Ambedkar or E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar were very educated and they were able to voice their oppression. These anti-caste reform leaders were very educated and knowledgeable, which is why it was possible for them to vocalize their opinions, to talk about the caste discriminations, as well as to make other lower caste members aware of the injustices that were being meted out to them. Ambedkar was born to a low caste Mahar family and he was exposed to caste discrimination since his childhood. In his classroom, he was not allowed to sit with his classmates. Instead, he had to sit outside the classroom on a gunny bag, as you can see here. So, he was discriminated in the real sense of the term. As a lower caste member, he also could not drink water from the tap. So, what did he have to do? Instead, water was poured by an upper caste member for him to drink. So, we learnt about how Ambedkar was exposed to the horrible caste discrimination since his childhood. He was a very meritorious student and after finishing his school, he went off to the United States on a scholarship to attend higher education. He returned from the United States to the Indian subcontinent in 1919 and 1919 onwards, Ambedkar extensively wrote to make the masses understand the caste prejudices within society. Because not all lower caste members were as educated and knowledgeable as Ambedkar. And so he now started writing for these people who did not know about their own oppressed status in the society. At the same time, Ambedkar also led movements that demanded rights for the lower castes. To this end, between 1927 and 1935, he led 3 temple entry movements. In our last lesson, we talked about how Sri Narayana Guru had campaigned for temple entry rights for the lower caste members. The lower caste members were not allowed to enter the temples because their presence was considered defiling and corrupting by the upper caste members. But now, with proper education, with an awareness of his position in the society, of the subordinate position of the lower castes in the Indian society, Ambedkar led 3 temple entry movements. As a result of this, lower caste people were now allowed to enter temples and they were also allowed to draw water from the temple wells. Because water in the temple wells is something that only the upper caste members had access to earlier on. Just a while ago, we also saw how the lower caste members were not allowed to drink water from the taps. But now, because of these temple entry movements, lower caste people were now able to enter the temples and they could also draw water from the temple wells. All that Ambedkar wanted to do by entering the temples and drawing water from the temple wells was to show the upper caste members that they were all equal. And he wanted to say, we are also human beings. The lower caste members were not treated as humans by the upper caste members. And Ambedkar was not just disappointed by this, he was infuriated, which is why he kept on launching various movements against this caste system and caste discriminations in the Indian society. Ambedkar eventually went on to playing a very important and crucial role in the Indian politics as well. because he was a part of the Constituent Assembly that drafted India's constitution. Various rights and privileges. The reservation system as a whole that grants certain rights to the discriminated groups in the Indian society was a brainchild of Ambedkar itself. That is to say, he played a crucial role in introducing the reservation system to the Constitution of India. So his influence did not just extend during the colonial rule. We still feel his influence in Indian politics even today. Ambedkar is revered and worshipped by lower caste members for the work he had done for them. Ambedkar is also a very important part of academic discourses on casteism and Indian politics. Like Ambedkar, there was another social reformer who also played a very important role in bringing about anti-caste reforms in the southern parts of the Indian subcontinent. And the person we are mentioning here is E.V. Ramaswamy Naicker, who is revered as Periyar. He started the self-respect movement. Just by hearing the words self-respect movement, we can understand what the aim of this movement was. Periyar himself started as an ascetic and he had read the Sanskrit scriptures. He was also very well read and knowledgeable, and he was aware of the Brahminical dominance in the society. He had eventually joined the Indian National Congress and entered Indian politics, but to his disgust he found that in a Congress meeting, the sitting arrangement reinforced caste discriminations, and so he came out of the Indian National Congress, following which he began this self-respect movement. So from this point we can understand that the lower caste members were supposed to be filled with a sense of self-respect. They were supposed to be filled with a sense of dignity and self-esteem. They were supposed to be proud of their Dravidian ancestry. He, very much like Jyotirao Phule, also believed that the lower caste members were the real indigenous people of the Indian subcontinent. The Brahmins, who called themselves descendants of the Aryan race, were the foreigners, and it were the members of the Dravidian race who actually belonged to the lands. Periyar devoted himself to fighting against Brahminical dominance. But this was not just what he had done, because he at the same time also fought for women's rights, for women's education. So he fought and campaigned for both women's rights as well as the rights of lower caste people. Before proceeding with this lesson, let me ask you a question. What was the Indian social activist E.V. Ramaswamy Naicker popularly called? Was he called Bapu, Deshbandhu, Periyar or Mahatma? Well, the correct answer is Periyar. E.V. Ramaswamy Naicker, who was a very popular social activist in the southern parts of the Indian subcontinent, was popularly called Periyar. Periyar now exhorted and encouraged the lower caste people, the untouchables, to free themselves from all religions in order to achieve social equality. He believed that religion was at the locus of social repression and discrimination, because it was this religion that sanctioned the caste hierarchy. So in order to free oneself from caste discrimination, that person has to free oneself from the clutches of religion as well. Periyar saw religion as the locus of oppression, and so he called for the untouchables to free themselves from all religions and try to achieve social equality. We have learned that Periyar was an ascetic and he had read the Sanskritic texts. He saw how these texts perpetrated differences among people, and so he criticized the Hindu scriptures, mostly the ones which were written by Manu. He also criticized the Bhagavad Gita and the Mahabharata because these were the scriptures that established Brahminical domination on lower castes. And not just this, these scriptures also justified men's discrimination and oppression of women. So can you understand what the reason was why Periyar asked all the untouchables, all the lower caste members to free themselves from all religions? So this was a time when Brahminical dominance and Brahminical hegemony were being questioned, and so many anti-Brahman movements were popularized in the 20th century. Many of these movements were led by very able Dalit and lower caste leaders. But not all sections of the society were wanting to bring about changes, because there were certain conservative sections of the society who wanted to maintain and revere the sacrosanct caste hierarchy. And to this end, Orthodox Hindu society countered the lower caste movements by organizing its own associations and movements in the likes of Sanatan Dharma Sabhas, Bharat Dharma Mahamandal and Brahman Sabha. Now they saw the caste distinction as the cornerstone of Hinduism, and for this reason they did not want to abolish the caste system. They held the caste system as something sacrosanct, as something without which Hinduism will not exist. And so these bodies were now campaigning against the anti-caste reform movements. With this, we come to an end of our discussion on caste reform movements that were happening in the Indian subcontinent through the 19th and 20th centuries. Having discussed at great length on these caste reform movements, in our subsequent lesson we will be focusing on some other different kinds of reform movements and reform associations that came into being in the Indian subcontinent around this time. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. You can also register for free at DeltaStep.com or download the DeltaStep app to learn one-to-one with our amazing teachers, or to get access to all our 5,000 plus amazing videos as per your school syllabus. Master each topic with our adaptive practice technology. Get million plus questions with step-by-step solutions and unlimited mock tests. Get all your doubts resolved instantly. Learn via games and win amazing prizes like PlayStations and iPads. So at DeltaStep, learning is not just fun and easy, it's rewarding too. So register for free now.